Welcome back. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall. We have got quite a final set up. Bunch of storylines colliding. Mike Hron trying to be the first American to win a limited Pro Tour since Mike Postilnick. And apologies to Mark Herberholz. Gadiel Slifer was not the last American to win a Pro Tour straight up. Mark Herberholz was in Hawaii. The Americans did take one Pro Tour last year.
Certainly.
Took the first Pro Tour of the year. Maybe that's the streak. Keep winning the first Pro Tour every year. Find out if A-Tron can pull that off. Meanwhile, Takuya Usawa won the second Pro Tour last year.
Looking to enter a pretty select company of people who won.
Yeah, not that many
Pro
people have
Tours.
won, too. It's a pretty short list to date. Hovey's done it. Nikolai Herzog has done it. Finkel Kai. Dirk Babarowski.
Gabriel Nassif has he's only got
No,
one.
Nassif's only got the one. Marco Bloom. I think it's just the 6 of them, right?
And 3 of them are on.
Yeah, the
team
3
together.
members of Phoenix Foundation. And 3 other guys.
Wow.
So very select company if Takuya Usawa
Really
can in
select
fact
company.
pull this off.
That's. Wow. Is that? No one in the early. No. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people with a handful of top 8s at this point.
Oh, sure.
I mean, five top 8s is actually becoming. Started that club, which was once very exclusive, is starting to become more and more populated.
Well, it gets you in the conversation now. It doesn't get you into the Hall of Fame.
Is it 3,000 hits or is it 2,500 hits in
not
terms
3,
of baseball? It's not 3,000?
If it was 3,000, you'd hit Scott Johns in the Hall of Fame already, right?
I mean, I voted for him in my year 1 ballot.
I understand.
I voted for him on my year 2 ballot
He's
also.
in the conversation. He's clearly in the conversation. But, I mean, the 5 top 8s have not been the automatic ticket into our equivalent of Cooperstown the way 3,000 hits would be.
Right. So it's really 2,500 hits.
Or 400 home runs or something.
Right.
It's 400 home runs.
Okay. So you think 6? You think anyone can get 6 top 8s and not make the Hall of Fame?
No, I actually think that 6 is the magic number.
So
that number,
it's only Nassif and up.
Right. Nassif, Darwin, John, Kai.
Right. There's only 4 people in that club right now.
Right.
Kenji's obviously.
I mean,
it's hard to imagine Kenji not getting another top 8 in the next 2 years the way he's playing and the way he's approaching the game.
Sure. Well, but I mean, I thought Oiso was going to hit that category too, and Oiso just sort of his relationship to the game just evolved to the point where he was kind of playing more for fun.
Sure. And school is becoming more and more important for him.
I mean, Kenji sort of seems like the way Kenji's playing these days, on his way into that Pantheon company, I would think.
Absolutely.
Still no Pro Tour win though.
No, and he didn't get it today. I mean, to some extent, the curse of the coverage continues. People talked about this in the forums a lot, the idea that for the last few limited Pro Tours, we covered Oiso in London. Who did we follow?
And his draft was a catastrophe.
Who did we follow in Prague? Did we follow...
But
everyone we followed...
In Kobe, we followed Kenji.
Everyone we followed has gotten
they
knocked
all
out
lose.
in the quarters.
They all lose.
This time,
it
was Kenji falling in the semifinals.
So he broke the curse. Antonino, that's who we followed in Prague. Another quarterfinal exit.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, to some extent. Also, an interesting, little interesting tidbit I picked up during the brief break. So 2 of Mike Hron's losses during the Swiss.
Yeah.
Kenji Samara.
Yeah.
Takuya Usawa. So he's avenged 1 loss. He's looking to avenge the second one. Win $40,000 in the process.
They posted Postilnick's deck list to the forums. You remember this thing?
Oh.
7 islands, 6 plains, 5 swamps. No fixers, just draw it.
Wait, is this...
God, it was Invasion Block. Absorb, Galena's Knight, Sleeper's Robe, Slinking Serpent, Vidalian Zombie, Ardent Soldier, Banalish Trapper, 2 Shackles, Spirit Weaver, The Best Rats Ever.
Which was the
Fight
deck...
Malice, Stand Deliver, 2 Excludes, a Fairy Squadron, a Probe, couple Stormscape Apprentices, and their Master.
Which was the deck he had that had 23 Wild Mongrels and 17 lands? Was that the Master Series he won that year? I mean, it was just... He had like 3 or 4 Wild Mongrels.
Sure.
Yeah, he had just absolutely ludicrous Wild Mongrel deck. I think he beat Zvi in the quarterfinals of that Master Series. You know, I was talking to Zvi about it recently, and he was still just groaning. He's like, "Well, I can't ever beat a Wild Mongrel."
Funny.
Mikey P's a teacher now.
Yeah?
Yeah, he teaches high school, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in New York. Doesn't play that much anymore. Has shown up for the occasional oddball draft. So,
DB Ben still can't believe there was 5 Tices in a draft with only 2 packs of Time Spiral. It's actually an interesting difference between Pro Tour drafts that not everybody even realizes. Normally when you do a booster draft, you and your friends are pulling out of like one display box, right?
Right.
So you don't see nearly as many duplicates in a normal booster draft as you will like sometimes on Magic Online or especially at the Pro Tour where, the packs haven't come from one display. One display, you almost never get a duplicate rare in a booster display of Magic.
Sure.
And even the uncommons are pretty evenly distributed.
This is
like
much
they're
more
more even
this
than
is
random.
much more of a true random.
Right, and the Pro Tour packs are essentially taken out of any number of different boxes, so it's truly random packs. I mean, each pack has, the common runs that people are familiar with, but, the rares they haven't been smoothed out the way they would be in a booster box.
Sure.
And so you'll see more duplicate rares, you'll see more duplicate uncommons than you will in a typical draft.
Yeah,
And you'll see 5 copies of Tices sometimes. And
I mean,
duplicate rares almost never happens when you draft in real life. You almost never see duplicate rares in a draft. And in the Pro Tour, you'll see 2 and 3 copies of a rare sometimes.
The draft viewer's up, and I know one of the things I'm going to really want to do is go back and sit down and go through that draft and see, just really try to understand what the impact of those Tices. I feel like that had to have a big impact on on how just the colors rippled through the draft.
Sure. Most people shipped along. They both wound up sitting next to each other.
5 of them with 2 seats. And you would think both people would have terrible decks, but both the
they're fine.
Both the decks seemed really good. So Mike's going to have to go through. Mike Corona's fought his way through 2 of those Tices already today.
Yep.
He now has to fight through the remaining 3.
Right. Pretty good point from the American Nightmare. Calling it a very appropriate final in his mind. Mike Ron has been time-shifted out of the past.
Very nice.
In theme with Time Spiral, he's returned from the past to claim his rightful place in the top 8.
So how do you think these decks are matching up? Let's look at them a little bit more. I think he's gonna come out of the gates just really fast against Takaya, and I really have to. I think this is overwhelmingly in Mike's favor.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. I mean,
how fast is he? Because I do think that Usawa's deck has the flaw that he spends his early turns suspending things. He suspends his Ephemerons. He suspends his Corpulent Corpses. His removal is Tices, which is often suspended. So he's not fast out of the gates. Can Mike really punish him for that?
I mean, he's got look at his 1-drops. He's got 1-drops, 2-drops, 3-drops.
What are they?
He's got an Ashcote Bear, he's got a Shadow Guildmage, he's got a Green Seeker, he's got a Thallid Germinator, he's got 2 Darkheart Slivers at his 2-drop spot.
It's a pretty good curve.
He's got Giant Dust Swap in the 2-drop spot. He's got a Maraboa, which is going to be unblockable against Osawa, and also comes down on turn 2. He's got the Essence Warden to get himself out of like tricky Tices situations. And he's got the Tree Folk for card advantage.
We're about ready to find out. Hope you guys are ready. Buckle up. The Pro Tour Geneva Championship match is just 30 seconds away. Hello and welcome to the Pro Tour Geneva Championship match. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall, and we are ready for a fight between the old school and the new school. Mike Ron has been time-shifted into this moment in keeping with the themes of Planar Chaos and Time Spiral. Mike, an old school player from Madison, Wisconsin, trying to become the first American to win a limited Pro Tour in fully 7 years. His opponent, Takuya Usawa, part of the Japanese vanguard that has absolutely dominated competitive Magic for the last 3 years. Takuya's already won 1 Pro Tour. He was the champion in Prague last season. He's looking to become the first Japanese player and only the 7th player ever to win 2 different Pro Tours. Who's it going to be? What do you think, Brian?
I'm picking Mike Rohn to win this event. I'm going to go with the power of Trump the Domains, the power of Spectral Force, the power of Stonebrow,
The power of the past.
the power of the past.
Getshukuyo Usawa's deck is coming out kind of the way that it does. Suspend a guy, suspend a guy. He doesn't impact the board on the early turns of the game, but he gets cards like Corpulent Corpse and Errant Ephemeron suspended, ready to come in. Mike Ron on the other side, he's got a bear on turn 2. He's already got the sliver. I guess, is that Search for Tomorrow counting down?
Search for Tomorrow is suspended.
So Mike has the ability to come out and really start winning the damage race early. We'll see how this plays out. All right, here's Search resolving. There's a Morph now in play for Usawa to defend himself with. The thing is, Ron's got... Oh, he gets the Mountain. He's got the curve in the early turns, but he's also got the bombs at the top end of his curve. He's got a Spectral Force. He's got Trump the Domains. He's got the ability to win with bombs in the late game, and he's got the ability to curve out. Just seems like a really well-drafted, well-constructed deck.
Yeah,
I get no argument from you.
I mean, I don't know what I could say. I mean, he's got flyers. He's got the ability to block black creatures that have fear.
Sure, that helps. The thing that Usawa has is 3 different copies of Tysus.
3 copies of Tysus, which Mike does have an answer for in his sideboard. We talked about this in an earlier
Put in
match.
Greater Gargadon in order to pull his creatures, sacrifice his creatures as a response to Tysus.
He's also got a Gauntlet of Power here, which in his deck, which is kind of interesting. We haven't seen that in any of the matches we've watched. Yavimaya Dryad.
Yeah, Ron really accelerating here. Search, Dryad.
Dug a card deep off of Chromatic Star. He's got 5 lands in play to Osawa's 3.
It's turn 3.
He's on Spectral Force mana right now. He's on Stonebrow mana.
Yeah. I think those guys would be a pretty good turn 4 play. Usawa beats with his Morph. Ron willing to block.
Yavimaya Dryad's not doing very much for him here.
And Usawa adds a...
Veiled Oddity.
Veiled Oddity.
2/3, which holds off the Dormant Sliver. I mean, I think it's a Veiling Oddity, actually.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And
Oh.
it goes right up to Deadwood Treefolk.
Deadwood Treefolk is his turn 4 play. That'll do. All the more reason to trade with Dryad. He gets to pick it right back up again.
To fix his mana a little more. Although now those Suspend guys are looming a little large. They're both coming into play next turn.
Yep.
There's another Deep Walker. By another Deep Walker, I just mean another 2/3 creature.
Corpulent Quartz looms.
See the looming.
Errant Ephemeron looms.
It's 7 unblockable right now.
And Ron replays the Dryad. He came out pretty fast, but...
Can't think about... Can't imagine him giving a forest here. the danger. How often have you given a forest to your opponent with Yavimaya Dryad?
Once or twice.
Once or twice. It happens pretty rarely. Take a look at some of the...
Sometimes you just got to push the shiny button because it's there.
Well, sometimes late in the game it just doesn't matter.
Right.
He's got Osawa down to 15 here.
Yep. Here comes the corpse. Here comes the Ephemeron. Usawa's had quite a good curve here. I mean, he spent the first 2 turns suspending things, but then, he played a Morph, he played a 2/3, played another 2/3. I think he's used every mana every turn. Very mana efficient draw for Usawa. And then here he comes crunching over 7 unblockable plus a 2/3. Ron feels obliged just to block. Deepwalker is going to trade for both of those creatures.
Going to gain 3 life.
What trick does Atron
So
have?
it was going right there, stacking damage, but I don't know if Mike was ready to do that because he's got strangling set for the corpulent.
Oh, all right. Yep, strangling stood for the corpse. 2-for-1 trade on the Deep Walker.
Gain 3 life. So lose 1 on that exchange.
And Atron down a card, but the Tree Folk's going to wind up netting him the card back again. Still seems like Usawa's got the better board position.
Absolutely. Dredge Reavers.
Ha! Dredge Reavers comes flashing down to block. You don't see that happen very often.
It's really not in game 1.
Yeah, not a card a lot of people...
I've certainly seen the blue-black decks side that in against the big green fat decks.
Oh, Usawa put it in the main. And now he goes on
he
offense.
just cracks with it.
Wow, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. 11 to 15 now.
Flashes out a bear. Loses the Deadwood Tree Folk. What's he going to get back? He's thinking about it. What do you get back here? Dormant Sliver? Do you just in your deck of another land? Gets the Dormant Sliver.
Looks like Dormant Sliver.
Can still kill the Veiling Oddity with Strangling Suit, which he has the flashback mana for.
Sure. He's got to come up with an answer to Errant Ephemeron, though.
This Stonebrow.
It's pretty big, but I don't see him winning this damage race, right? Is Tromp even enough?
Well, Tromp is more than enough because it's +5 with Stonebrow.
Oh, wow.
Right, because it gives everything trampled.
Ha!
Then when you attack, it gets the +2 bonus from the Stonebrow. You know, it's not like some of the other things like Strength Numbers, which don't work out really well. So he's got +15 to whatever's on the board already.
Well, he's going to need to do something quickly.
So I was thinking about not attacking here. That seems surprising.
He should attack with the...
Oh, well, that's what I meant. I mean, it seems like he's considering, does he want to leave the Ephemeron back? But he can't.
You gotta send the...
That's 4 turns. He's 4 turns away.
That's the clock. It's not going to be win by letting Ron draw more cards.
He's 1 swamp away from Tysus mana.
7.
Atron down to 7.
Oh, an island, not a swamp. So does he have the magic card?
Tromp the Domains is lethal if he's got it. No permission from Usawa, right?
Let's take a look. You have the deck list in front of you?
Just Stonebrow, says Micron.
No, there are no counter spells.
Dredge Reaver steps in front of Stonebrow. Soaks up 1 damage, but Usawa takes 6. Sorry,
Takes
5.
5.
Down to 8.
Is this Spectral Force? Nope, Giant Dust Wasp.
Oh, there's a flying blocker. Is it just chump block Ephemeron for a turn? It's actually almost enough.
Mike is dead to a Tysus.
Sure. Usawa has not shown a swamp number 4, however. Errant Ephemeron comes over. Do you chump with Duskwasp, or...
It's not like he's going to be better if he doesn't chump block, right?
I think it comes down to whether he wants to swing with the Duskwasp.
Well, that's what I mean. Like when Usawa's at 8.
Right. Oh, he's also got the Sliver he can sack to gain 3 life, right? So Ron is effectively at 10. He can actually take 2 more Ephemeron hits. Yeah, I think he'd take it there. Well, there was swap number 4. And there's the Tysus.
Which is...
It's lethal, right?
Well, not with the dormant... Not with the Dark Heart Sliver.
But he just took... No, he just took 4 from the Ephemeron.
Oh, he did
He's
take
hit
the 4.
3.
Yes, you're right. Sorry.
He can get back up to 6, and the Tysus deals 8. So game 1 goes to Takuya Usawa.
Ripped the Tysus before... ripped one of his 3 Tysuses before Mike could rip one of his 1 Trump the Domains.
Yeah, that sure looked like swap number 4 was the key card there, the way the game played out. So Takuya Usawa, looking to win his 2nd Pro Tour in the last year, takes game 1. Ron played it well. I mean, he knew he couldn't beat Tysus in that situation, but he managed to maneuver his way around everything else. Had a win set up, if only it wasn't for Tysus. Now what happens with the sideboard?
Let's take a look at sideboards. I mean, Mike's shown a willingness to play some unusual cards. We saw him sideboard in a Vampiric Link earlier.
True.
Does he look at something like a Circle of Reflection?
Well, I think the Gargadon clearly comes
in. The Gargadon is clearly coming in. Does he look at more black creatures? He's got a Skittering Monstrosity. He's got a Phantasmagorian, giant black monster.
Interesting.
He's got a Mana Skimmer he can bring in to deal with some of the flying. What about Osawa?
There's that Vampiric Link again, too.
Osawa's got an interesting card here. He's got the Dune Rider Outlaw.
That the pro green guy?
That is the analog.
You obviously bring that guy in, right?
Absolutely. He also has a Vampiric Link. Probably not bringing that in. Not much else for Osawa. I mean, you could look at an Ovinomancer if he's really worried about having answers to Spectral Force, but he's got those. I mean, he'd rather. I can't see it there. Both guys have Mana Skimmers to bring in from the sideboards. Deadly Grub. No, I think Dune Rider Outlaw is one card, and Greater Gargadon is the main cards we're going to see out of the sideboard from these 2 guys.
Sounds like Ron has brought in the Vampiric Link. Deadly Grub.
Oh, Deadly Grub is a 3-power black creature.
Sure.
That gets in the way and fights with a Corpulent Corpse.
And then turns into a 6/1.
But if it fades, if
Sure.
it vanishes, it turns into a 6/1 on target.
There you go. And he brought in the Gargadon along with the second mountain, of course.
Of course. Makes a lot of sense. And we can feel pretty confident we're going to see the Dune Rider on the other side of the table.
Yeah, I would think so. Forums is doing your research for you again. Ranchero To-Do points out that Mikey P had 4 Mongrels in the New Orleans Master Series.
Yeah, that deck is pretty amazing.
Limited deck with 4 Wild Mongrels. And a Werebear. It's a good 2-spot. Crazy. And again, of course, it's 3-color. 9 Forest, 4 Mountain, 3 Plains. The Authentic Simpsonian also posted the deck list in the next place. Pastilnik was in. He was on top of his game back then, winning a Pro Tour and a Master Series.
That format seemed to really favor him.
Sure.
He really understood. I guess there was no 1-3 for 2 for him to play there. He was forced to play the Wild Mongrel and the Werebear.
Yeah.
Mike is a notorious 1-3 for 2 player. We've talked about this actually a lot this weekend. Players who really change up the style of play of their opponents.
Sure.
And Mikey P is one of those guys historically who's really disrupted his opponents by just...
Yeah, there have been a number of players historically who just sort of have an eccentric look on the game, and they value cards differently than sort of the consensus, and throws a lot of people off their game to play against somebody. He's got these cards. Why are you playing that?
Mikey P's always been like that. Darwin's been like that to some extent.
Absolutely. Nico Herzog falls in that category for me a little bit too.
Sure.
Especially in the way he'll play within the game.
Graham Snapfingers, I think, is another player in that class.
6 land and a Trespasser Ilvek, and Ron makes the correct decision, cashes it in, goes down to 6 cards.
Trespasser's another guy that eats a corpulent corpse.
Sure. Interesting. BuzzBugs plays, obviously hanging out on the draft viewer, notes that Ron passed an 11th pick Bog Serpent in Pack 3.
That seems pretty surprising, actually. But I
Bog
like Bog
Serpent's
Serpent
good.
quite a bit.
It's
pretty big.
He took a Circle of Affliction over it.
Interesting.
But if he's not bringing the Circle in, I don't know. It seems like Bog Serpent would be good here.
Pretty big man right now.